Welcome to a day in my life. Make sure you stay all the way to the end of the video because you guys know I like doing little surprises here and there, and you can find out exactly what that is. It is the morning of my interview with President Biden. That's what I'm about to put on. That's what I'm wearing. So it's 11 a.m. and I've been picked to ask the president, yes, the president, the leader of the free world. I get to ask him two pre-approved questions. Most of them are really going to be around COVID and the aftermath and like vaccine stigma, stuff like that. It's going to be a super short, super brief conversation. So in case you guys are probably going to be wondering, why didn't you ask this? Why didn't you ask this? Trust me, there's 50 million things I'd want to ask the president myself. So we're going to be conducting the interview via Zoom, 30 minutes, and it's going to be just two. It's going to be super brief. Yeah, thanks YouTube for the opportunity, and thank you to the White House for the opportunity. I honestly don't even know where this opportunity came from. I mean, probably from YouTube, I'm sure. But the team that reached out said that they were fans of me, and as it pertains to issues that relate to the Black community, they wanted someone of the youth to be a representative. So they chose me. So I'm excited. Let's go talk to the president. So this is the suit I'm going to be wearing. It is a loaner because for an occasion like this, I wouldn't buy something. I'm only going to wear this once. It is from Balmain and it has like this denim, this blue denim print. It's cute. Now when I take some outfit pictures later, I'm going to wear my Tom Ford shoes. These are some that I just got, haven't worn these yet, so I feel like it'd be the perfect match. You see, you picking up what I'm putting out? Oh yeah, that is perfect. Guys, my pink crotches came in. Maybe the clog girls were onto something. No, maybe y'all weren't, and maybe it was just Nikki's influence. But I'm about to get mine customized. I need somebody who does the bling bling. Finally found some almond creamer. This is the creme brulee. So good. Just waiting for the president. So I told y'all we're doing the interview on Zoom, and they were like, yeah, log in like 15, 20 minutes earlier and just sit and be cute. That's what I'm doing. Sitting and being cute. Two things I'm very good at, apparently.
Hi there.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Very excited. The president is running just a little bit behind schedule.
No problem.
So I am going to check in on his ETA. I will get a firmer time for you, but wanted to check in, make sure that you are all set. Any questions you might have, things I can do to be helpful as you count down to talking to President Biden and Dr. Fauci.
I think I'm good to go right now.
Great.
Hey, how are you?
Hi, Mr. President. How are you?
Well, I'm particularly pleased to get a chance to talk to you. Besides, you're a special E4 specialist. When my son, who's passed away when he was got the rank of major, I said, Bo, you're now a field grade officer. He said, Dad, I have no illusions. I know who runs the Army. I know who runs the Army. So I got to salute the people who run the Army. Anyway, I know you're retired, but how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm very pleased to be talking to you and Dr. Fauci. Thank you so much for allowing me this opportunity. How are you doing today?
We're doing well. We're
doing fine.
well.
Good to see you.
I understand you have some questions.
Yes, I do. I'll jump right in. So my first question, in simple terms, what do you say to folks who are fearful of the COVID-19 vaccine? I often feel that public figures hinge on the idea of mainly focusing on the world reopening, which is great, but it's not the only thing we should be focused on, as opposed to actually addressing the vaccine science itself.
Well, I tell you what, let me ask Doc to speak to the science for a moment. I think I have been a good student and understand it, but this is the guy who, when I got elected president, before I got sworn in, I called him, I said, Doc, you gotta stay or I'm not gonna come. So he can explain it better and then I'll add on.
Well, one of the things that people should appreciate is that COVID-19 is a very serious disease. And when you talk about the vaccine and people have concerns about vaccine, the concern is about the disease that it so effectively prevents. And the science behind both the safety and the efficacy of the vaccine is truly extraordinary. Of all the vaccines that I've been involved with developing over the decades that we've been doing this is a highly, highly effective vaccine that in the clinical trials alone, there were tens and tens of thousands of people in the trials that showed that it was safe and effective. And now tens, if not hundreds of millions of people have been vaccinated with that. And you know what we found out? That it's even more effective than the clinical trials show. It's extraordinarily safe. and it's something that is highly, highly protective against you. So when people have concerns, and they're reasonable concerns, we never put people down for asking questions about their concerns about the vaccine. But they need to know that the science that went into it is absolutely pristine. This is the result of decades of very intensive basic and clinical research. And that's the reason why the President and I feel very comfortable when we strongly recommend that people get vaccinated.
And Jackie, you said something about why don't we focus on addressing the vaccine science itself as opposed to just the world, being able to reopen. I think that's what we've tried to do, both from a purely medical standpoint as the doc and the scientific standpoint, as well as a social perspective as well. One of the things that I think is important is that if people understand the science of it and why we think this is so important, they are more inclined to think not just about themselves, but think about other people. To think about, instead of just the world reopening, and it's a big deal, by the way, it's obviously a legitimate concern of everyone, but if they think about addressing the science, they think about how it affects other people. What do I tell? Do I go out and proselytize you should get the vaccine? Do I, in fact, just get it and be quiet? Do I not get it? And I think it forces a person to be more introspective and decide, do I have an obligation to get this, even though I feel pretty secure I'm not going to get it? But do I have an obligation to get this vaccine? Because I just learned in the science that you can be a carrier, in effect, without knowing, having no symptoms. And you can cause somebody else. And I carry my schedule with me every day. I knew you're going to be talking to me, and I'm talking to you. And the back of it, I list the number of COVID deaths on a daily basis, because every life we lost matters.
Wow.
And there are 582,263 empty chairs at breakfast this morning.
Wow.
There are 582,283 people who are gone, leaving a hole in somebody's life. And what I tell my kids and my grandkids is it's all about protecting other people too. It's not just about you. It's about your obligation.
Exactly.
And I really think it's had, not me, but I think it's had an impact on people that they're forced to think about, well, it's not just me, I'm going to be okay. It's what's my obligation? And in the early days, before we got over 85% of people over the age of 65 vaccinated, it was like, I can't hug my grandma. Hug my grandma, or I can't go to visit my friend who has a pre-existing condition. He's only 24 years old, but he has a pre-existing condition, and I may kill him unknowingly. I think it forces people to look at the other person, not just you, but the other person.
Absolutely. That's something that I think about constantly. Like at 33, I'm like, I don't have any pre-existing conditions, so I want to be forthcoming and think about other people. So I totally agree with that, which leads me into my next question. In a country where communities of color, specifically Black communities, don't have equitable access to healthcare resources, how can we ensure that these communities have access to the vaccines?
When the COVID crisis pandemic really began to hit, I was getting calls, as you might guess, from all over the country. I got a call from a really fine man, a guy named Duggan, who happens to be the mayor. He happens to be Caucasian, but the mayor of Detroit. And I worked with him when I was vice president to help get Detroit out of bankruptcy and get the community going again. And so I called him to see how he was doing. Detroit now is overwhelmingly African American. I come from a state that is the 8th largest Black population in America as a percent of population. So I come out of the civil rights, I come out of that community. I was a public defender. I used to work in the East Side. That's what I come out of. That's what got me in politics. And he said, Joe, what you don't realize is the overwhelming number of people who are dying in my city are African Americans, and they're dying at 2, 3, 4, 5 times the rate of the white person or the Caucasian in the same city. Why is that happening, Joe? What are we doing? And so when I went, before I got elected, before I got sworn in, which was a long time before anybody recognized I'd been elected. But anyway, I went to Dr. Fauci and I said, look, I need your help. I want you to promise me you'll stay. You'll stay on and be my main person. And the reason for that was that I needed to know the science behind all this. Why was this happening? Well, think of the fact how many neighborhoods you know in the black communities all across America where they don't have any fresh fruit and fresh vegetables. How many neighborhoods we live in that are what we call fence line communities. One side of the fence is a poor community, minority community, the other side of the fence is an oil refinery or a chemical plant. And so a lot of African Americans have found themselves behind the 8 ball because they in fact were exposed from the time they were children to an environment that wasn't healthy. Now, I don't mean in terms of socially healthy, I mean in terms of physically healthy, as well as they inherit like what's going on, you know, how many African Americans suffer from diabetes? Why is it such a higher rate than it is for others? And so what I started was, when I set up this commission that we put together, that Dr. Fauci is the best known member of it, but there's another 20-some serious scientists and docs on it. I asked one person to do nothing but deal with equity, to make sure that we were reaching out into minority communities, which, by the way, and many of the older members of that community had memories of experimentation on black Americans that were not told about, like what happened to the Tuskegee Airmen and all those tests. And so there was a great reluctance. And so we made sure to reach out and do 3 things. Number one, make sure we kept a fastidious account of how many and we did this with Hispanics as well, but let's just focus on African Americans for a second. How many African Americans were actually dying? Either getting sick in the first place and then dying. Correct me if I'm wrong, Doc, but they got COVID something like 3 times greater or 4 times greater than Caucasians in the same region. And they died at a rate that was slightly higher than that. And so, number one, to be able to make the case why it was so important that we deal with equity, treating people equally. And so what we did was, we then went out and I put together with a lot of professional help a circumstance where I have one woman who does nothing but look at the equity issues of dealing with the vaccine, the illness, and so on. And so what we did beyond that then, we decided that, for example, I'm probably telling you more than you want to hear, but what's important, I think, what we found out was that an awful lot of African Americans, especially older African Americans, may live theoretically within 5-7 miles of a drugstore, but guess what? That might well be 500 miles of a drugstore. They don't have an automobile. They have no way of getting there, not all, but many don't. And so how do we get the vaccine to them or them to where the vaccine is? So we vastly expanded where we made the vaccine available to 80,000 sites. We're trying to get to the place where we get over 70% of the American people fully vaccinated. And guess what? We went to Uber and Lyft have now made a commitment from, I think it's the 25th of May or 23rd of May, I can't remember which exact date, until July 4th. Anyone can't get to a vaccination facility. In fact, they will pick them up, take them, wait for them, and bring them back. We put mobile units into communities of poor communities, particularly communities of color. They can't get to the site can go to them. So we just didn't leave it to the states any longer. We set up a federal effort. I want to use this opportunity to extend the aperture so people can see more clearly. Oh, I didn't know that. It's not that they don't care, but I didn't know that. I'll bet you 85% of the American people had no idea that African Americans were more likely to die from the same exact disease. So we're really working on the whole piece of, I signed an executive order my first day, insisting that every single department in my administration focus on equity, equal access to whatever is there. And we have a chance to make some significant progress.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. President, for just taking the time. These are issues that mean a lot to me and my community and my audience. And also thank you for your time, Dr. Fauci. This is awesome. Thank you again for having me and answering my questions.
Your voice matters. Your voice matters. People listen to you.
Thank you.
Why? That's part of the equity here. You're reaching out. They'll listen to you more than me or anybody else.
I don't know why they're still listening to me. I'm crazy, but hey, I'm here and I'm trying to make a difference. So thank you.
God love you. You are.
Thank you so much. God bless.
And that's a cut. President of the United States saying your voice matters. I almost cried when he said that.
High five. That was cool. That was so much more chill than I thought it was gonna be. The rest of y'all can't tell me. Bucket list. Cross that off my list. And this was cool because meeting the Obamas was really something that I wanted to do while they were in office and I didn't get to. So being able to get this opportunity is okay, we didn't get the Obamas, but hey, I still got to do something with it because Lord knows I was not gonna do it with the last president.
I think we can all leave the call feeling good about our president.
I mean, I did even leading up to this. I've seen some of the press that he's been doing and I'm aware of some of the initiatives that he's launched since then. And he, to me, obviously no president is perfect, but I don't see a president who just talked the talk just to get to fill a seat and then got the seat and then was just pandering the whole time. That's not the vibe I personally get. I feel he genuinely does try to set a different tone with his administration versus where we were previously. So look, I'm rooting for him. Like I said, no president is perfect, but I'm feeling very optimistic that we can hopefully undo some of the chaos that's been going on recently. So yeah, I mean, I feel really good.
All right, well, keep your schedule open because hopefully Vice President Harris is next.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Please.
Yeah. Peyton said, please. All right, so what's the surprise? Well, I've been doing my little Cash App giveaways. Because we got to talk to the president, I'm gonna up some of the capital. In this video, I'm gonna give away 1,200 Zolas. If you want to enter, all you have to do is leave a comment. It could be a comment about the video. It could be a comment about something that you saw. You must be a subscriber. These giveaways are for the people who support me because I love y'all and I want to be able to give back to you regularly, more frequently. So leave a comment, say, hey girl, what's up? Tell me I'm ugly, tell me I'm cute, whatever. It's up to you. And also end the comment with your Cash App. And that's pretty much all you have to do. I pick people at random and then I'll pin your comment if you're the winner. That's it. I hope you guys enjoyed today's vlog. If you want to see more of them, let me know. It's something a little different from the normal. And I will talk to you guys soon. Mwah. Bye. Don't even think about leaving without subscribing.